And of course, I approve of that. Ooh, it's a Honda Prelude. This car's been in the yard twice before, in fact. And I first got a shot of this very car at the Furious Driving social thingy a few months back. And I just filmed him reversing in and we had a chat. And he's a nice chap. He must be, because he's brought it here for me to drive. What a fantastically elegant machine this is. It manages to be smooth yet incredibly pointy at the same time. It's as sharp as a knife, but as smooth as the butter that the knife's cutting. In fact, you might say it's like a big piece of unusually coloured cheese. Due to its rather slim, low-down body, it looks like a very big car, but it's not really. It's not particularly wide either, but it looks wide. Probably down to the fact that it's so low down, and it really is low down. I could probably reach the other side of the roof. Very practical. It means you can wash one side and the top of the car from one side. So if your car happens to be parked against a wall all of its life, you don't need to move it to wash it. What a strange idea, but I'm leaving that bit in. This is a 1990 car, or it could be 91. Whatever the case, it's a very, very old car now, of course. But look, there's no rust anywhere on it. That's not because Hondas didn't rust, because they did. They rusted loads, in fact. We're lucky to see an example of a car like this still on the roads in such nice condition. But that is the difference between somebody looking after their car and somebody not. It's strange, really, to think that the Mark IV Prelude was so well liked that when the Mark V came along, well, they went back to this kind of original design and made it look a bit like that, but chunkier. It's got a bit of a sulky bottom lip about it, and this huge wraparound rear lamp. With that bit's just a reflector, but these parts really are very big lamps indeed. This car has four-wheel steer. Stationary, and at low speeds the wheels turn in the opposite direction, and that means you get a much tighter turning circle. And then as you go above 20 miles per hour, something like that, they go the other way, which means you get more stability for going round corners and bends. I think it's fair to say that these are aftermarket wheels. Well, I mean, the Momo badge in the middle gives that away, but at least they don't look garish. In fact, really, they add to the rather elegant and sleek styling of the car, because they look very easy to keep clean for a start. Look there, pop-up headlamps. Makes the front end even more slopey and, well, 80s looking. Also good for creating horrendous injuries to pedestrians that happen to be daft enough to step out in front of you. Well, look how low this is. It's unbelievably low. If I was to get run over by this car, I don't think the pop-up headlamps would actually be the problem after all. More the fact that I would just go straight through the windscreen and have the kind of hug that the driver really doesn't want. I used to have one of these. Not one like that. The Mark V. That looks a bit nicer. It's not my first experience with a Mark III Prelude though. I used to work with a chap that had one, and I at the time had a BMW E30 that was the same age. And one day I had to go out in his car and I couldn't believe how much nicer the Honda was than the BMW. Wonder if that chap's still around. I mean, he wasn't any older than me or anything like that, but he did smoke a lot and he was quite keen on drink driving, come to think of it. I did always wonder why they didn't have frameless doors. So often Japanese cars end up with this kind of mishmash of styling that makes it look a little bit rather awkward and just not particularly pleasant from every angle. but they did a very good job of this one. There isn't anywhere on it where it doesn't look nice. Doesn't matter how close you get. All of the pillars, from the thin C pillar there and the low bonnet, and just the way it doesn't really have any massive detailing going on down the side or anywhere particularly. You might say that it's lacking in style a little bit, just like the Subaru Legacy that I drove a couple of months back. Here's a feature I really like about this car. Because of the relationship with Rover, I know where all the bits are. There's an awful lot of shared components and shared ideas from this car to what you may have in something like the Rover R8 or the 800 or the 600, such as having your fuel release there and the boot release, and then the bonnet release in a sensible place. Indicator stalks, all similar, in fact more than similar, the same. In the boot there is what looks like a cabinet, but I do know it's just a big speaker really. If that wasn't there, this would be quite a sizable boot, but it is there. But I reckon I could still fit inside that. Oh, hang on, there's a CD multi-changer there. That might get in the way slightly. Do you think I should try anyway? I reckon 5 years ago I could have fit in there, but these days I'm just a bit more chunky. Because this is a car, when you go around the front you find an engine underneath the bonnet, which is of course a Honda engine. Honda with a painted red top and a strut brace and an all familiar programmed fuel injection inlet manifold there. We've got some rather nice pipes there, all stainless steel, and the engine bay is all rather well packed in, but very tidy as well. Many cars still have engines, but they don't look like that. They usually just look like plastic covers, and you'd start taking plastic bits off just to get to the bit that's underneath. But what really is the point of that? Is just to discourage anyone that owns it from messing around with it. I don't think the brakes are standard on this car. Yeah, they didn't have brakes that size or with drilled and vented discs on the front. Probably did have discs on the back though. Well, this feels just really nice to just climb into. It just feels like a proper Japanese sports car. Nothing over the top, nothing that doesn't actually serve any purpose. A nice big what do you call it? That tray that you can stand tea on just there. Huge clocks that give you no excuse for getting it wrong, and then the door cards with this lovely hard wearing material in there. Everything is functional and everything is good. I did always wonder why they didn't have frameless doors. Very nice pull feel on there, and the door closes with a little bit of a wobble because of how big it is. But we've got a vent there as well, which is unusual. And then like this kind of binnacle on the top of there is actually quite a good idea. I like the way the whole dash just sort of slopes away like it does in the 600. And then we have oh, that I wasn't expecting that, the heater control things, or some of it, underneath a little plastic door. When I acquired a Mark V Prelude, the switchgear was exceptional. This is good. The Mark V was really good. But oh look, a leather headlining. Is it real leather? I can't quite tell. Whatever the case, it's not going to be saggy, is it? There are a couple of interior issues, little bits of loose plastic everywhere, but the same kind of quality feel that you get in a Rover, and of course I approve of that. With the engine on, you can see there's a little symbol there telling me that the door's open, but you know, I already know that. Imagine driving down the road with your door open like that and you need a symbol that small to let you know you're on a stake. The car sounds like it's singing. I just realised you've got the heating on as well. Or is that stuck?
Stuck. Sweatbox.
Should I not mention that the heating's stuck on? I'm going to close the window because there's quite a lot of sound from that rather big fruity exhaust line. But it drives in a very typical sporty car way where it's a bit bouncy because the suspension's quite stiff, but it's reasonably compliant as well. What else would you expect? You'd expect the steering to be very, very nice. Let's find out, shall we? Yeah, very nice weighted feel to it. Wanted to go straight back to the centre straight away. The sound of this is going to have somebody turning around everywhere you go to have to see what's going on. What's that sound? Is it somebody doing something irresponsible? No, it's not. It's just quite loud. That's really it. It's a loud car. It's as loud as it looks. And there is a bit of creaking going on actually. I wasn't expecting that. Why is it creaking? The steering is actually really, really very, very light actually once you start slowing down a bit. And that's deceptive because it is actually kilometres rather than miles per hour. Let's put my foot down. Whoa. That's rather nice actually. He's in the wrong lane. Really want to just like undertake him particularly, but I bet he goes all the way up there in the wrong lane all the way. Gosh, it's hot in there.
Sorry.
Does the aircon work?
No. It's a sweatbox.
See, I told you he's going to do it all the way around. The steering just sort of feels like it gets heavy as you go a bit quicker. That's really annoying when they do that, isn't it? Don't you reckon?
Yes.
But this would actually properly whip around this and undertake it quite safely. If it was my car, we could consider doing that. But it's not. I love that piece of wood there on the floor. So the remote control down there, what's that for?
Oh, it's for the radio.
All the way through that little section where I could have put my foot down has been spoilt by a 2011 Volkswagen Scirocco. I hope you're happy in your funny fat ass car. I don't think I would be if I was driving that. It's a bit dull, isn't it? So far, I've had not a great opportunity to actually drive it in the way that it demands. A car like this, you've got to drive it a bit quickly, haven't you? It's kind of a waste of price. But there's just, even on these empty roads, there just happens to be somebody else in the way. Shall I overtake here? Fabulous! That does pick up very, very nicely indeed. And being as it's not even a VTEC, I'm going for the wrong indicator side again, that's very, very impressive indeed. The car does bob along quite a bit, and when I mean bob along I don't mean actual speed, because we know it does that, but it does, has this kind of bouncy kind of feel to it. It's got a proper kick down there as well, rather than any sort of fancy gearbox. It's just an automatic gearbox that works well. The question is, would it be better with a manual? I don't know, because most of them were automatics. Going to do a roundabout test. Now the best car I've ever had for the roundabout test was my own MG ZS, followed closely by the Subaru. Actually the Subaru might be a bit better. This is fairly.
Go on, give it some.
There we go. Go on, give it some. be irresponsible at that point. See the racing line over here, there's no point not doing, because there's nothing else on there. Incidentally, you should never take the racing line while there are other cars doing the same speed as you in the other lane. That's how you end up having a crash. Top tip for you there. Oh. And the brakes are kind of just right actually, they're not stupidly firm. Because the problem with often stupidly firm brakes is they don't really have a great deal of feel. So there, the brakes, good. Handling, excellent. Acceleration, better than I was expecting. Volume, just a bit too much. Seats, very comfortable. Just a bit too warm. Honda Prelude 3rd generation with 4-wheel steer and a 2-litre engine and an automatic gearbox. Do I like it? Yes, I do. I like it lots and lots. In fact, it's another one of those moments where I find myself thinking, this is one of my new favourite cars. It's absolutely fantastic. It handles like it's, as they say, on rails. I don't know why they say that, because stuff that is on rails tends to fall off the rails when you start going quickly. Thinking of trains there. Yes, what a rather elegant car this is. So very, very great. I'm very, very grateful for Greg for bringing this car down, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I enjoy editing it as much as I enjoyed making it. I hope you enjoy watching the video as much as I've enjoyed making it. Bye bye.